All right. Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy day after Christmas. Hope everyone's recovering. I know I'm trying to work my way there. I don't know. I know it's Saturday and all, and the reason why that it matters is because we got a new pocket change market report for Saturday. Yes, I was still gonna do one. In case you were wondering, yeah, we just cannot stop. This is gonna be the last one of the year, I think. And then we are gonna have a brand new 2021. Exciting. So let's see what this year has in store. I hope everything just goes back to normal. I usually don't, speak on everyone's behalf, but everybody has been waiting for just things to get back to the way they used to be, for crying out loud. And I'm with you every step of the way. All right, so pocket change market report. What's the deal with this silly market report? Well, if you want to know how much your coins sell for, your errors, your varieties, just stuff that you find out of circulation. You're going through your mom's, change jar, or maybe you went to the bank, you grabbed a few rolls or a full box or maybe 10 boxes, and you find that pretty nice error or variety. Great news. You don't have to go very far to sell it. eBay is generally the place to go for selling those errors and varieties. Now, there have been a lot of questions on whether or not eBay is going to ban coin sales. Well, that's a huge deal. Have you looked and see how many listings there are on eBay for coins? A lot. I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of new listings every month. I don't know what the deal is, if this is some sort of like regulation that's beyond eBay's control. It's going to be one of those wait and see patterns. Okay, that will definitely alter the landscape and alter, my pocket change market report. It might be going away. I'm not even sure, but we're hoping for the best. We know that the sales in the coin section of eBay are a definite moneymaker for them. So why would they get rid of it? I don't know. It has to be something deep, something regulatory that's preventing them from doing anything. I don't know. But we'll see. If anything, this might be the last pocket change market report that BlueRidgeSilverhound does. We hope not. Keep your fingers crossed. But anyways, these are coins that are just straight up out of circulation, or maybe it's a nice cherry pick from from a coin show or a coin shop, and you just really want to sell it. You don't want to grade it. You don't want to go through this rigmarole of what to do with it, or extra certification. You don't want to spend the extra money to sell these coins. So we're going to talk about some realized sales here within the last couple days, including Christmas. We had some sales that ended yesterday. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, how about we go ahead and jump right in with the first coin, featuring a 1980 D Lincoln Memorial Cent. This thing has a few things going on. First of all, you notice that it has just a giant clip on there, okay? So right there, big old giant clip. Pretty easy to see, but it looks like it was off-center or something. As a matter of fact, this is an uncentered broad strike. For the most part, you have most of the obverse detail still there. All right, so even with the clip and the broad strike, I mean, pretty nice error. Double errors on any coins is kind of a big deal, and people do like them. All right, this would appeal not only to clip collectors, but also people who collect broad strikes. So you're really appealing to two different audiences. On their own, they're not particularly rare. Okay, you could generally find either a clip or a broad strike for a really small amount of money. You're not spending thousands of dollars for this type of error like some of the other ones. But because of this one, you have the best of both worlds. This one sold for $62.75. That's a mighty sweet sale. That's probably pretty good for about a dozen extra value meals at McDonald's. So there you go. Not too bad. All right, so the next coin here I've talked about a million times before, but I figure, hey, let's go ahead and throw in an update for December. 1955 Poor Man's Double Die, which in reality is just die deterioration. So right here on this last 5, you can see kind of like a halo of another 5, and that's just a deterioration of the die. All right, you can see that The strike is generally mushy on not only the obverse, but the reverse of the coin. This one is in, pretty spectacular shape for its age. This one right here is sold for $12.99, proving yet again that the cult kind of classic favorite, or whatever you want to term this, is never going to go away anytime soon. Okay, that's a pretty solid sale. You just don't see them usually higher than 10, 15, 20 bucks. Okay, so this seller provided image right here, a little bit dark and slightly out of focus, but you can tell it's a 1989 Philadelphia Jefferson Nickel. It's about 15% off center. All right, so again, this is just another lesson in the quality of the coins. The quality of the images are a little suspect on this one. But when you have a coin that's a nice high grade, this type of error, with a full date and a readable mint mark, I mean, you have everything that a collector of this specific error type wants. This one right here sold for $22. That's a pretty solid sale on a more modern coin. All right, some of you have seen something like this before, okay? So what we have here is a 2008 S. What I suspect to be a proof candy half dollar, only this one right here looks like it just got ran through something, all right? This is what the mint does to the coins that don't quite pass the quality aspect of the process. So they waffle the coins, all right? They simply put in a machine, they crimp them down, and there you go. The coin is irreparable, it's damaged, and that's what they want, okay? So that's their way of canceling out coins that don't fit their personal quality criteria. I mean, if it was 2020, they should waffle every single dang coin that they made. So yeah, I don't think that's happening anytime soon, but back in 2008, where there was all of the extra manpower and all the extra time to do something like this, they certainly did do it. Now, what is appealing with this? Okay, these coins are available all over the place. Okay, you could get dimes, nickels, pennies, you name it. Half dollars are even out there. However, I'd like to point out that this one did sell for $64. So what makes this one just a touch more special than all the other waffled candy half dollars? Well, okay, first of all, it's an S mint, and it's also 2008. You have a full readable date on this coin and mint mark, and that's what collectors love of this particular type of error. All right, generally these are made available right out of the mint, and that's why you're looking at one right now. These are just available all over the place. There are direct sales of these. And it's just crazy that, you could find some like this with a full date, full mint mark. So $64 is what we ended up here. All right, check out your silver wartime nickels. I'm trying to get my bearings about me here. Especially the higher grades, but you can look at just about any condition, any type of condition that you wanted to. But this is a 1943 D, as you guys know, on the silvers. Okay, the mint mark is actually above the dome in Monticello. But this one right here, even without, you probably already saw exactly what I, stand to talk about. But on the reverse, there are a lot of repunched mint marks. This one is particularly strong. So much so that it even has its own inclusion in the Cherry Picker's Guide as FS501. This particular higher grade example sold for $29.96. Generally, these coins can be available in this condition for roughly like $5. If you needed a nice uncirculated example of this coin with great luster, not particularly high grade or full steps, you could cherry pick some of these desirable RPMs, and you get underneath them with a magnifier, you'll do really well. Speaking of magnifiers, if you don't have one, what are you waiting for? These things are like $8 to $10, and they're available on my Amazon links. They're down below in the description box. I get a small proceeds of every sale, but at the very least, I'm leading you to the water. You just have to drink it. All right, it's one of the most important tools. I highly recommend them. All right, brand new quarter. I've talked about this one, but I figured we'd do another update sale. It's a 2020p Salt River Bay National Park quarter. So what's so special about this particular coin? Well, like a lot of the other coins, there's always quality control issues. If you look on this particular coin on the reverse, you can see all of these parallel striation lines on the back that's underneath the design. Okay, what this is it's actually feeder finger scrapes. Okay, the feeder finger actually pushes the coin out of the striking chamber. So anytime there is a little bit of misalignment of that particular component of the press, okay, it's going to scrape to on the top of the anvil die. All right, so where you see it here, where it's behind all the devices, it's actually on the highest point of the die. Okay, so you have to think about that process. What's really cool is that this actually looks like rain, okay, like storm clouds and rain on the back here, which is appropriate for, the national park that's highlighted on the coin. Now, this one right here is sold for $8.67. Keeping in mind, there's a few bucks in shipping there. These coins generally still bring in $4 to $5. It used to be that they sold right out of the gate for probably like 30 bucks. But seeing as how there's more than plenty of these to fulfill demand, prices have adjusted. But they're still worth pulling out if you see them. All right, so this coin here, in case you haven't figured it out, is in a cardboard 2x2 holder. You can see all these little cardboard, fibers hanging out here. Again, I can't stress this enough. If you're going to do coin photography, make sure you take it out of the holder it's in, unless it's in a graded holder, like a PCGS, NGC, Annex, ICG. Keep those in there. But just regular coins that you have in, just regular storage 2x2s, take them out. Those things are dime a dozen, so you could replace it pretty easily. And take the photograph with clear pictures, okay? Plus you won't have all the glare coming off the plastic. Now this one right here, nice centered broad strike, 1999 P Roosevelt Dime. And this one sold for a best offer of 45 bucks, or somewhere south of there. So 45 was the asking, and this person accepted an amount of money underneath that. Oh boy, here's my favorite. An uncertified 1937 D three-legged buffalo. All right, I love talking about these because it's probably one of the most widely counterfeited coins. So how do you know if you own a legitimate one? Well, I'm happy to say that there's a few things to look for when you're buying these raw. Now, traditionally, I would say avoid buying a raw coin of this caliber to begin with, just because of its price point. But these can be cherry-picked, okay? Someone has or is selling a group or a bag of this stuff. You just really want to go through it and pick out certain dates. This is one of those coins that even to this day is still being cherry-picked out there today in the hobby, all right? So with something like this, you're going to see kind of like this weak, pebbly rear leg. That's normal. And that's what you want to see for a properly diagnosed three-legged buffalo. Furthermore, you're going to get kind of like this semicircle ring right here of what looks to be die pitting. Okay, and that's what you want to see. And this, by the way, is not Black Diamond's Ding Dong. That's just a little tuft of hair that comes to a point. But his Ding Dong is behind his leg, in case you're wondering. But in any event, you want to see kind of like this pebbly semicircle little thing that comes from right here to up here. All right. And the die is pretty much well deteriorated. All right. So that these are all kind of like those base diagnostics that you need to see before you pull the trigger. Okay, to give you an idea, this particular coin sold for $505.97. It's probably what I would classify of being maybe a VG8, maybe a fine 12 at its best day, only because of the amount of horn showing here. It's about 3/4 horn. But this, again, it's not a cheap variety, and you definitely need to know that you're buying a legit example, especially if you're paying all the money in the world to have one for your typeset. So this is a pretty solid sale. All right, so this is one of my favorite varieties. This is what I like to call like a seeing eye variety, which means you don't need a magnifier to properly spot one of these out in the field. I'm not even going to say circulation, because we don't come across Morgans in circulation that often. But it's an 1882 Morgan dollar. This one is an O over S mint mark. Now, without even going close, you could see the O, and then you could see that inner curl piece of the S underneath the O. Okay, that is considered the strong type of this over mint mark. And this is a top 100 VAM to boot. This is a type of coin that you could cherry pick out of scrap silver for $24, turn around and sell it for about 2.5 times what you paid for it. All right, so I sold a cleaned example of this coin that I picked out of scrap silver bin for about $55, and I felt like a winner every single time. So I would certainly recommend that you don't overlook the 1882 O over S mint marks. They are fantastic. So this particular coin right here sold for $59. All right, the coin might have been cleaned at one point. It does have little traces of luster in the protected areas, but believe me, these exist in quite a bit of quantity out there today, where you could just pick them up for, a $20 bill or under $25. So here's an interesting one. I mean, $2 bills are still a thing out there in circulation. I mean, you're going to have to ask and pry some of these from your bank teller's hands, because they don't willingly give these up. They generally, just like Ike dollars, hate seeing these. All right. they just want to, turn and burn. They want to get these and send them off on their merry way. But, generally they will not give these out when, say, you're cashing a check or you're grabbing some money, unless you ask for it, only because they have other ways of disposing of $2 bills. But this one right here, not to get too far astray, has a lot of over inking, or this, ink smear. They call this also a solvent smear in the currency error field. But this is just phenomenal looking error right here. And it's in 1976. You can still find these, and you can find them, in even minor states of a solvent smear. And then here's the reverse of the note. I mean, it looks perfectly fine. So this particular $2 bill sold for a best offer under $253. Probably $200. They are worth that. This is a pretty right good size smear. Now here's the 1981 $1 Federal Reserve note. Okay, so we got a couple notes here to talk about. This is the second one. This one has a misaligned printed third print. All right, so you could see the serial numbers, the district seals, the green seal, the ones also are overlapping the first print design, which is neat. And you come across these anytime you have some of these third print design elements overlapping other things because they're misaligned printed wise. They are visually stunning, okay, and they're neat to have. So this one right here is sold for $97.55. Pretty good. There's the back, nothing of note. All right, so here's a really gross looking 1995p clipped Washington quarter. It's in phenomenal shape. Nice mid-state grade. Probably a 64 or 65 by my accounts. But this one right here sold for $28, and the best offer was accepted. So I had a friend, and I'm going to get into why. A buddy of mine used to collect off-center coins, and he was actually the one, because he'd been doing it for about 35, 40 years, all the way back to, going back to maybe 1970, 1968, somewhere around there. And he told me for as long as he's been doing it, there are certain key dates that you just can't find. And I was thinking about, okay, so like a 1909 SVDB, 1914D, things like that. He said, no. Okay, that's cute. All right, not that kind of key date. But he collected every single date and mint mark in off-center. All right, and his requirement was it had to be at least 5 to 7% off-center for him to buy it or consider it. So here we are, 1946S. Off-center Lincoln wheat cent was the one that he never got to find. He passed away about 4 years ago. And he had accumulated about 98% of his collection, going all the way back to, I believe it was 1925. He had quite the extensive collection. He was always at coin shows. He did the major shows through like Stack's Bowers back in the old legend days. He used to come across pretty much just about every date you could ask for off-center wise. The 1946S was one of those dates that he never got to purchase. But I wanted to take some time to talk about the fact that one did sell here in the last day or two. That is not only a spectacular looking coin, you got full date and mint mark, but it's also in relatively nice shape. I mean, call it like it is. Mid-State 62, maybe? Red-brown? But this one right here, to give you an idea of rarity, is sold for $149.99. He would have paid that all day long. He probably would have paid double that, just because it's such a tough date to find. All right, so we have a 1995 Lincoln Memorial set. Now, this one right here is interesting because a lot of people come across these coins in not only this condition, but, worse off looking coins as well. So this one right here, right above Lincoln's head, and there's a few other spots right on his temple and, in the fields in front of his face, appears to be, well, in the words of the actual seller, a lamination. Now, take a look at the date, 1995. All right, that is a date that is within the period of time in which copper-coated zinc coins were made. Okay, and they're still made to this day. So it goes all the way back to 1982. All right, so the way it works is you had this very thin plating that covered every single zinc core. And when I mean thin, it's thin. It didn't take much to expose the zinc core on a well-struck, newly struck coin. Now, through the production process of the planchets, there comes a time where when some contaminants are present on the surface of the zinc core before any sort of plating happens. Okay, so when that happens, you get the zinc plating applied. All right, later on down the line, all right, you begin to develop what they call plating blisters. All right, and that's very common. They could come in any shape, long lines, or, in this case, this is kind of like what you see here in between we and trust. And then you see a whole bunch of other tiny little, plating bubble blisters in certain other areas of the coin. Now, you don't see it too much on the reverse, but the obverse definitely has its issues. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to point out the fact that this is a plating blister. It's not an error in this particular vein of collecting. Some are neat. Some would show up as kind of like a cigar coming out of his mouth, and we've seen that before. But this one right here, in spite of everything, sold for $4.50. So someone did see a little bit of value in owning this coin with the plating blisters. Maybe as kind of like a sample for their collection. All right, so here's a good one. All right, so a lot of people have talked about the Black Beauty Jefferson Nickels. All right, if you guys need a really cool video about this, Jeff Stanley Octane in Coins. Okay, he's one of my panel members on our group Live Coin Q&A. That's another YouTube channel. We're live every Monday. He did a video expose on Black Beauty Nickels and what it's all about. Okay, so it all comes down to the original alloy mix of the planchets before they were even struck. All right, if you want to know more, go ahead and check out his channel, Jeff Stanley Coins and Octane, and he has just an amazing video review of what these are. He's a professional in the field. He's owned a number of these. I own a few myself, and I can honestly say it can deceive some of the most inexperienced nickel people, okay? But one of the things that really stands out, and it's probably better when they're in mint state condition like this one is that the coin will exhibit kind of like a gunmetal color, sheen, however you want to call it, that obviously the coin has never circulated. Now, when a coin circulates and, they're subjected to, chemicaling and dirt and grime and all the other things and wear and tear, it will give the false appearance of a coin being gray like this. And that's what trips up a lot of people. All right. But this is a very nice coin. It sold for $32.99. Check out Mr. Stanley's channel. All right, so our feature coin is actually the only coin on the list that's graded. And I know I normally don't talk about graded coins, but this coin can be found and sold raw. That's the cool part. But what we have here is a 1965 Washington quarter. This is a special mint set coin. So my kind of message to you, because this one has a really cool looking strike through. It could be like a thread or a wire or something like that, is that you guys have to try and cherry pick these older sets, okay, going from like 1980 and previous to that, because you find stuff like this. You find strike throughs, and you find misaligned dies, you find all sorts of other cool things within these sets. And they're, like I said at the beginning of the video on the thumbnail, it's worth its weight in gold. No kidding. Like this coin right here is sold for $135, where it's one coin out of a total of 5 coins in the special mint set that collectively they sell for like $10. So that's a heck of a rip right there. All right. So selling it for what is essentially a gram and a half of gold, $135, that's pretty darn good. So I challenge you guys to take a look at your mint sets, your proof sets, special mint sets, and see if you can find something interesting, because there's tons of it out there. I have my own collection of probably about 40 or 50 US mint errors that all come from these sets. It's really interesting. And there's a slab right there, NGC Mint State 67, obverse struck through. All right, so not my particular favorite set of photos, but we have a 1993 P Washington quarter that exhibits 3 rim clips. You have 1, you have 2, and you have 3. And you have all the subsequent, I guess, Blakesley effects on all the opposite ends. Now, this is not the clip. The clip is actually right here. 1, 2, 3. This Blakesley looks strong enough to be a clip, but it's the Blakesley from this clip here. But again, I can't help reinforce, take your coins out of the package before you image them. 2x2s are not that expensive. This one right here sold for $22.95. Exceptional looking piece. All right, this is our last piece of currency on the list. It's a 2017 series $1 Federal Reserve note. Nothing of note on the front of the note. I mean, it just looks like a regular dollar bill. But there you go. We got some insufficient inking on the reverse. So when the inks are running out in the wells, well, they begin to look like this. It's like your printer at home, your home printer, your inkjet running out of ink. It will look like this. All right. So this is a relatively new note. If you don't think errors don't exist on new notes, think again. Look at this thing. This one right here is sold for $58.05. And no, this is not one that got washed in the dryer or the washer and dryer, because it would affect the front too. Silly. All right, here's a 1970 D Roosevelt Dime. Now, there's a few things going on with this coin. The original thing was that it was a strike-through reverse. So as you can see, there was some sort of debris or grease on the reverse die before this thing was struck, and then that's why you got a lot of stuff missing, preferably the word dime, and error is gone. But this is also the reverse of 68. It's got the 2 deep valleys in this torch, which is a cool variety, not particularly expensive on its own, but when you combine the variety with the strike through, I mean, you have something pretty special here. This one sold for $23.39. And then finally, the last coin, and kind of a heartbreaker, because I think this one undersold by a pretty good margin. I've seen a lot of the 1972 D Jefferson Nickels like this, with this huge cut on the obverse, sell for upwards of like $100. So when I saw this one and it sold for $46.45, I was kind of heartbroken. I mean, this one right here, guys, it sold yesterday, all right, or the day before. And it's like, if you're going to end your listings, do not end them the day before Christmas. It's usually a bad time to end it anyways because of timing. And by December 24th, people are broke as a joke. I mean, you know, I got cobwebs in my wallet right now, so I don't know about you guys, but yeah, try and end your listings well beyond the holidays. I know upcoming, since we are on the last coin, it doesn't matter anymore. Um, Tax time is going to be a good one. And if the stimulus happens, you better believe that there's going to be a new injection of money in going into the hobby and the marketplace. It's going to be a big deal. So we'll see how that goes. I know when everybody received their last stimulus check, you know, when was that? Like June or something like that? I know that there was a lot of money going into collectibles, and this is all for a lot of people extra money that probably they didn't need in the first place. So they went and, you know, they splurged on stuff probably they didn't need, or they went and bought collectibles, and, you know, that's why collectibles is so nuts right now. But yeah, this one's crazy. Sold for $46. Just bad timing. I wish I would have been there to, you know, put a bid on this one. This would have doubled up after the first of the year. But anyways, that's a lesson to be learned, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that's going to do it for this one. You know, if I don't hear from you, well, I'm going to do my Monday market report. So, you know, I'll hear from you guys in one way or the other. But I want to thank you guys. Sorry for being so wordy and talkative on this one. I just feel like, you know, sharing today. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for instant notifications. And as always, Coinaholics, we are discovering together, now in 2020 and beyond 2020. We're going to hit it up really big in a new way, and then we are going to just, there's nowhere else to go but up, right? 2020 was a low point in a lot of people's lives. I wish each and every single one of you great health and just great aspirations for the new year. You guys take care, keep collecting, enjoy the hobby, and I shall see you on the next coin video. Take care.